Hi everyone, Gruntle here, and this is my guide to legendary and unique weapons in Borderlands the pre-sequel. This episode we're looking at the Crybaby, which is a unique assault rifle manufactured by Scav and part of the Holodome Onslaught DLC, which you will need to purchase and download if you want this weapon. Just a quick warning at the start of this, it's probably going to be quite a long episode this time, because we have all of these different special types of the Crybaby. It's a bit crazy, so yes, we're going to have to go through most of those in a bit of detail. Now, this is one of the mission rewards for Digistructed Madness Round 3, which is basically Round 3 of the Holodome DLC, and the other mission reward you can get for that mission will be the Chronicler of Alpus mod, so you can either get that legendary class mod, or you can get this Crybaby gun. So, there are many versions, as I said. They've all got, the main thing about them is they've all got decreased rate of fire and I believe decreased bullet speed as well. Otherwise there's quite a few different types, as I keep saying. I have repeated that many times now. I should move on. This weapon is a reference to The Binding of Isaac, which is a indie game, an indie game, if I use the correct grammar, which is quite popular among a lot of people. And yes, Crybaby, there is a baby that cries. That is the main character that you play in The Binding of Isaac, and its tears are what you use to damage the enemies. It's also got the retext Isaac, and so yes. Also, the way that it fires, if it has this special barrel on it, it's going to fire wiggly bullets in a split of 3, which is very similar to what the Isaac baby could possibly do, depending on what damages you have on it. Anyway, this is not The Binding of Isaac, this is Borderlands. We should go on to the gun, the weapon, the parts, all of that good stuff. So with this particular one here, this is my favourite version of it, with all of the favourite parts that I think are the best for the weapon. However, it's in the non-elemental version. So I would have it with the same parts, but in the elemental version, if I was going up against, maybe in corrosive version if I was going up against armored enemies, or there's also a cryo version if I was going up against other types of things. But I like this classic damage, as it's going to be pretty useful against most enemies. Now, in this particular gun, the barrel here is one of 2 unique barrels for this weapon. So you can either get this E-Tech looking barrel, so it looks like an E-Tech rifle from Borderlands 2, and it gives the wiggly bullets, as you saw before. That makes the bullets go wiggle 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 as they fire off, and it's also, that gives the slow bullet velocity that comes from the barrel. There is also just the classic Scav barrel, and that's just giving you the slow bullet velocity without wiggly bullets. So it's kind of a more accurate weapon, but less interesting. And I like the interestingness about the wiggly bullets. Anyway, the sight is always just the aesthetics. I've put on a Scav one just to match the body, but you can put on whatever you want, or find it with whatever you want, and that's just all personal preference. The grip we have here is the Vladov grip. Now I've got the Vladov grip for the increased rate of fire, as this weapon has, I'll show you in comparison here to a purple Scav assault rifle, has quite decreased fire rate. Now this purple Scav has the same parts except for the barrel. All the rest of the parts are the same, so it's got the Vladov grip as well, and it's got all the same things. However, its fire rate is 8.3 compared to 5.2, so you can see that the fire rate is quite low for this weapon. Vladov grip is to increase the fire rate. The dial stock that we've got on here is to give increased accuracy, faster recoil recovery, and reduced recoil, and there are no negatives to this stock, so it's just the best stock for any assault rifle, and certainly the best for this one. Now, on the grip side of things, I reckon the second best after Vladov for this weapon would be a dial grip, and that will give you reduced recoil and faster recoil recovery. However, both the Vladov and the dial grip are going to reduce your damage, and the Vladov will also give you worse recoil recovery. So I mean, you're always trading off something with a grip, so it's going to give you some sort of downside. But yeah, so it's either the Vladov, which I got here, or the dial that I reckon are the best. Now there's the accessory that you can see right here. Spin it around so you can see both sides of it. That is the, on normal Scav weapons it would give you the prefix wild ass, which is quite a nice prefix, you know. Bit strange, but anyway. It's basically giving you, where is it? Increased fire rate with slightly decreased accuracy and also increased damage. So you've got increased damage and increased fire rate. I'm using it for that fire rate increase because, as I was saying, the fire rate on this weapon isn't great. However, you could also put on it the this accessory, which would work pretty well, is the bullet speed increase. And that's because this weapon's bullet speed is quite low. I'll see if you can see the difference in bullet speed. I'll run off back here. So this is with the non-bullet speed boosted one. So you can see it's quite slow going off there. And then the bullet speed one, quite a lot faster. So if you want your shots to hit the enemies quicker, you'll probably want this accessory on it. Anyway, it's kind of hard to tell which accessory you get until you pick up the weapon and look at it, and you'll have to know what each of them look like because it's not going to give you that prefix like a normal weapon would. What else do we have to talk about here? We've got all of these interesting ones. Now this is just a very basic version of it. It's got most of the same parts, however it's got the normal Scav barrel. It doesn't have what this weapon has, which is the killing enemies increases damage and damage bonus decays over time. That is given to you by the bloody prefix. There we go. The bloody prefix comes from the element. So it's a special element on this weapon, on these three weapons actually. So instead of cryo or corrosive or no element, you get the bloody element, which lowers your damage, gives you a faster reload, and when you kill an enemy you get increased damage, and the bullets that come out of your weapon are also red. So that's what happens if you have the bloody prefix. Otherwise, if you have no prefix or no element, you're going to get this #1 prefix. And it's not going to give you that damage bonus over time or after kills. Otherwise, this weapon is pretty much exactly the same as the first here, but it doesn't have that barrel that splits it off as well. But you can see that that's going to give you greatly increased fire rate if you don't have that split barrel. So 10.6 compared to 5.2, so over double the fire rate if you don't have the splitting barrel. What else do we have here? This one is the cryo version, as you can see. There's nothing else too interesting about this one. You're just going to get cryo damage coming off it. Probably good for your Aurelia builds if you have one. Here's the corrosive version of it. Much the same as the cryo, just in corrosive damage instead. These two have reduced damage compared to... I say reduced damage and then I look at this one and they don't actually have reduced damage, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Usually the elemental ones have reduced damage compared to just the normal version, but in this case I think they have increased damage, but not compared to the split barrel one. Anyway, moving right along, there is also an element called fletched. It's going to give you that fletched prefix, and it gives you piercing bullets. So this bullet, if you shoot an enemy with this weapon, it will go through that enemy and hit any enemies that are behind it. So that's kind of cool. This has the mystic prefix. Now, the mystic prefix is the second accessory. I'm not sure if it's visible on this weapon. I can't see any special accessories on here, but basically what this is going to do is give you damage decrease, fire rate decrease, but it gives the 3 projectiles. So that's where the projectiles actually come from. That's the split, is from the mystic prefix. So this one actually also has that accessory on it, and I thought it was from the barrel. It turns out it's not. See, I told you this episode's going to be quite long. I'm still going on about the different parts. This one's the bloody prefix, which was the killing enemies increases damage, and you get the damage bonus decaying over time, as I was talking about before. This is just the wiggly prefix, or also the number 1 prefix from the no element. So you get the wiggly prefix if you have those wiggly bullets, which is from this barrel that you can see here, that E-Tech looking barrel. And finally, we just have, I believe this is just the most basic crybaby that you can have. It doesn't have any element. It does have an accessory, which is the Wild Last accessory as well. It's going to give you yellow bullets, I believe. We'll just test this out. I think this one has the yellow bullets. Yep. So that's with the no accessory 2. No second accessory, you'll have yellow bullets. Anyway, I really should get on to the rest of this episode, which involves me firing this weapon at these guys here. You can see how my favorite version works, or the one with just increased damage and not increased fire rate here, or the one with increased bullet speed. Actually, this is probably going to be your best bet. With those wiggly bullets, it's kind of hard to hit things, but if you have that increased bullet speed, you can hit things a lot easier. The only downside to this one is that you don't have the increased damage, which is why I like the damaging ones. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to some gameplay with Jack with this weapon, and I will let you know what I'm thinking of the weapon as I kill things. I think I'll do what I did last time, where I use the different elements as I go through, switch between them, and show you what the different things do. I won't get through all of the weapons, otherwise I'll have to switch every time I kill something, because there's just so damn many of them. But I'll probably make piercing, corrosive, and cryo versions of this weapon here. And yes, that is what I will do, and I will be back with that in a second. Boom. So we're starting here in Overlook with the bloody prefix version of the crybaby, and you can see with these critical hits even it's not doing too much damage, but after I kill this first guy we do get a damage increase, and also those stacks are happening for Jack, so his damage is being increased and it's not doing too badly. I will switch out here to the fletched version to see if I can get some piercing happening, but these guys aren't lining up particularly well. You might have been able to see it there. It does happen a bit further on as well, where they do line up a bit better, and you might be able to see it as well. It's from those little glitch enemy thingies, whatever they're called. I don't know. I do switch out to the corrosive and cryo versions as well, and you'll be able to see how those work, but basically they're the same weapon, just with those corrosive or cryo damage elements happening as well. Now this weapon isn't too amazing. It's a fun weapon, it's interesting, it does those interesting shots. However, I don't think I'll be using it very much, and I definitely think the Chronicler of Alpus class mod will be a better thing to pick up from that round 3 of the Holodome DLC. However, if you like interesting weapons and you may be collecting weapons, then you can always get the Chronicler of Alpus mod elsewhere, so you might want to pick up this weapon from that round. In a second you'll also see the fight for your life potential of this weapon, which isn't great, especially because the enemy goes behind a wall. However, I always suggest have a better weapon for fight for your life with assault rifles. They're not the best for that kind of thing. And yeah, if you want to read more about this weapon, there's a lot of written stuff in the wiki page for it. It's just in the description below the like button. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you let me know in the comments as well. And let me know if you want to see anything different, or if you think this video was too long or something like that. I really should finish it up here because it has been a very long video already. So thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more of these weapon guides from me, please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video.